Back with you, San Diego sports leader, the Mighty 1090. Let's say hello to Rocky Long as we do each and every Tuesday. The Aztecs are 2 wins, 0 losses. They will be facing Northern Illinois upcoming this Saturday. It's a 12:30 kick. Jordan Caruth tells me that there will be a special 90-minute pregame here on the Mighty 1090. So be on the lookout for that if you're cruising around on Saturday. But 12:30 kick for the Aztecs against Northern Illinois. 0 wins and 2 losses. Rocky Long joins us. Rocky, good to talk to you. Congratulations on the win. Darren Smith, thank you very much for the time.
Well, Darren, I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, it was nice to win a shootout game. I mean, it was kind of dramatic throughout the game, but we won it, so that's what counts.
Now, did you keep a straight face when you said it was nice to win a shootout? Because I always think of you as a defensive guy. And at 31-21, I turned to the people that I was with, and I said, Rocky's probably going to go into the locker room and throw up at all the points that have been scored so far in this one. Is that the way you expected this one, 45-40?
Well, I think I said early in the week last week that we were going to have to outscore them, and I really thought that. I didn't know it was going to be the score that it was. I knew that if it got in the 30s that there was a chance we were going to lose. But since our offense did a good job and we scored on special teams and we scored on defense, we were able to score just enough points to win.
Yeah, 45-40. It was something else, too, on Saturday night at Qualcomm Stadium for those that watched or those that were there in attendance. Rocky, I don't know that you take the time to rank this sort of stuff, but, yeah, I've heard people suggest that this was as big a win as there's been in a long time, and maybe as big a win as there's been for you as the head coach at San Diego State. I don't know how much thought you put into this stuff. It's probably more a conversation that we have on radio and that your fans have. But have you given that any thought, how big this win was for you guys?
No, not really. I mean, I thought it was a big game for us because it was mostly the next one on the schedule, and the media had hyped it so much. You know, it was one of those, according to the media, that was a must-win game. If you don't win this one, the rest of the season is not worth watching or something like that. That's the way I felt going into it. So obviously it was nice to win. I thought we had the best team. I thought we had the better team going in, and I thought actually that we'd win more than we did, but we made some mistakes and gave up some long passes. But I thought they had really good athletes. Athletically, they might be better than us. I just thought we had a better team.
Now, who in the media said that sort of stuff, that the rest of the season would be a waste of time if you didn't beat Cal?
Well, I've read that. I've heard that, because for some reason everybody thinks we're supposed to win every game, even though there wasn't a college football team last season that won every game.
Okay, all right. Well, I always appreciate when you're paying attention to the silly things that we say in this business.
Well, I read and listen. I'm not very smart, but I read and listen.
You talked a little bit about the long passes. We're talking with Rocky Long on San Diego Sports, leader of the Mighty 1090. They were. I mean, it was. You don't see that a lot when I watch the Aztec play. You don't see wide receivers flying down the field. Why were they so successful in that department?
I think we weren't ready for their speed. I thought they had 2 or 3 guys that were really fast, and we'd played a team the week before that was pretty slow. And obviously we don't get that kind of look in practice because the scout team doesn't run that well either. So I think we were shocked with the speed, number one, and it took us a while to adjust to that. And then we didn't get the kind of pressure on the quarterback that we normally get. I think they did a good job of protecting the quarterback. The quarterback's a great big guy that can throw it well. So even if there's people in his face, he can see the receivers, and he does a nice job of putting touch on the ball and putting it where it's supposed to be.
So what changed? What did you do then to mix up, especially on the pressure side? What did you do to mix up your pass rush?
Well, we added a couple blitzes or changed some of our blitzes at halftime, and we didn't sack him very often, but we hit him more often, and we were in his face a little bit more. So he wasn't quite as accurate with the football. In fact, late in the game, when they're driving to try to win the game, he has a wide-open receiver, and thank goodness we had a guy getting ready to hit him just as he threw it because he missed a wide-open receiver that probably would have scored a touchdown. There was a guy in his face where he threw it underneath the receiver. DeMonte Casey intercepted it and won the game for us because there was somebody in his face. So the pressure got a little bit better, and he didn't throw it quite as well.
Rocky Long joining us on the Mighty 1090. I know exactly which play you're talking about. The guy was open right in the middle of the field, streaking towards the end zone. That's the one you're talking about on that final drive after the onside kick?
That was the one, and he completed that ball 2 or 3 other times during the game because our receivers are supposed to switch those off, and they kept messing it up. So the guy that was coming on the inside when they crisscrossed, guy coming on the inside was open, he was open again, and thank goodness we had enough pressure to make him miss the receiver.
Did your heart stop when you saw that ball in the air and saw the receiver had some separation?
I saw the receiver was wide open, so it might not have stopped, but it skipped a beat or two.
Rocky Long joining us on the Mighty 1090. Your defense, I mean, I know they gave up 40 here, but they were on the field an awful lot, Rocky. I mean, that's 90 plays, 90-plus plays. The kid threw the ball 73 times, I think it is. What does that do to a defense here as you think about having to now hit the road and go play and travel to the Midwest?
Well, it wears you out a little bit. I think that we actually, when you count plays that were called back or stopped or penalties and that sort of thing, we had one player played 101 plays. And that's usually about a game and a half. I mean, so they're a little tired, they're a little worn out, but it's not a very physical game. They came out trying to run it and wanted to run it and weren't able to, so then they decided to throw it. 72 passes in a game is a lot of throws, and if you give up some big ones, you're going to give up a bunch of yardage and some points. But we made some plays, too, that helped us win. The interception for the touchdown, the interception at the end, the interception in the end zone that kept them from scoring one time. So the defense did not play well overall, but they made big enough plays to help the team win.
What'd you think of the crowd, 42,473?
I thought the crowd was great. I thought that they made a difference, too. There was times during the game that we were in a little bit of trouble. The momentum was swinging against us, and I thought the energy in the crowd came down to the field and allowed our players to get over those kind of things, and the energy helped them. So it'd be nice if we had a crowd like that all the time and that into the game. They were really into the game, too, and I don't think there was many Cal people there. I think that was mostly San Diego State crowd.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that. And, and I actually went with some people, I hope you forgive me, but I went with some people who were Cal fans, and they were saying the same thing. I said, well, how many of your people are coming to this one? They said, well, we don't know. And they chose to sit on the other side, and we wandered over there, somewhere third, fourth quarter, and I got the same sense as well, that was a partisan San Diego State crowd for certain there. There were a handful of Cal fans, and they wear specific colors and colors that stand out, and they cheered when their team did well. But I agree with you. That was mostly SDSU.
And I think it made a difference. I mean, it added to the excitement of the game, obviously, but I think whenever you have a home crowd that gets noisy and energetic, I think it really helps the home team.
Rocky, what more can you say about your running back, about Donnell Pumphrey here? 281 yards. He breaks the San Diego State all-time rushing record, breaks Marshall Faulk's record, which people were aware of. It's not like play stopped and that moment was celebrated. But what an amazing night for him.
Unbelievable. I mean, I think after the first game where he didn't have the kind of night everybody expected him. I mean, going into the first game, everybody was talking to me about him breaking the record in the game. In that game, he was going to gain 300 yards or something, and you got to give New Hampshire credit. They did a good job of stopping him, but we didn't block real well up front. Well, our offensive line, tight end, and fullbacks, they did a nice job of blocking and got him into the secondary. And when he gets back there, he can make people miss, and he can outrun people. He's a special, talented guy. The best thing about him is he's a team guy first. But we knew he was going to break the record sooner or later. It was nice that he did it last week.
How's he feeling? He's not the biggest guy, and you mentioned it earlier, and it's something that stood out to me. Cal, you win the game, but they have big athletes. They looked, again, just perception from the seats here, Rocky, they looked bigger than you guys. How's he feeling after that many carries, especially against the Pac-12 team?
Well, I think he's beat up. Anytime he carries the ball that much against anybody, he's going to be beat up. But I agree with you. I think they were bigger, faster than we were. And so he got hit by several different people. He got gang tackled several times. But what people realize when they watch him is he's a tough guy. I mean, he's not very big, but he can run between the tackles. He can break tackles. And he'll block you when he has to protect for the passer. He'll block you. So he's a tough guy. I'm sure he's sore. And I'm sure he's beat up, but no one will touch him in practice, I promise you that. And I don't have to say a word. The rest of them aren't going to touch him in practice, so he should be all right by Saturday.
One of my favorite players on your team is Rashad Penny, who had another kickoff return for a touchdown. It's like his fourth or fifth time. What makes him such a good kick returner?
I wish I knew. Some guys have that talent, and he's told me the other day he'd never done it before until he got here. The funny thing about the 100-yard return is that we did not block it very well. There was a lot of free guys that we did not slow down or not take care of in order for him to get into the return, but he made 3 of them miss, and then he outran the rest of them. So that helped us win. Obviously, he's a talented guy, and I think he's found the thing that he does best, and that's return kickoffs.
Rocky, this is going to be an interesting week of coaching for you. Aztecs now go on the road for the first time in 2016. You go on the road having just had as big a win as people can remember in quite some time. You're going to face a Northern Illinois team, which is now 0-2 and lost its starting quarterback. How much coaching goes into a game like this, trying to prepare your team for travel, having to prepare your team after a big win to make sure that they're focused on Northern Illinois?
Well, it's an issue, and obviously we started that talking about that yesterday. Now, I hope that we have a mature enough football team, which I think we do, that they realize what's ahead of them, because Northern Illinois plays really good at home. They're 35-2 in the last 5 years when they play at home. They don't play real well on the road, but when they're at home, they play really well. So I'm sure we're going to get their best, and they're used to winning there, so I'm sure it's not going to be easy. It's all about how our guys prepare, and then it's all about our guys' attitude going into the game. So as a coach, you try to prepare them. As a coach, you explain it to them. You tell them how it's going to be. But as I've learned for many years, is sometimes they believe what they want to believe. Now, I think our team's mature enough that they'll handle it just right.
And I would think, and you can correct me, and I know you will correct me if I'm wrong, but if there's one thing that even at 2-0, coming off an impressive win, that really needs to get cleaned up, Rocky, it has to be the penalties. You go on the road and commit 10 penalties for over 100 yards. That stuff has a way of coming back to bite you.
Yeah, there's a couple things that obviously we won the game, but I think what that shows you is that if we can clean up several things, that we can be an awful good football team. We turned the ball over twice. We dropped a snap. We threw an interception late in the game that gave them some momentum at the time. The defense went in there and held them to a field goal and stopped them one time. So that helped, but we're not tackling as well as I think we can or should. A lot of them are open field tackles, but I think we need to tackle better. I think ball security is very, very important. And then our penalties, now some of that is aggressiveness, and some of it you don't want to take away from them, but we got to cut down on penalties because they can kill you.
A coach told me once 100 penalty yards will usually translate to 7 points on the scoreboard. You ever hear that phrase before?
I haven't heard that, but that's probably correct, because in our first game we had 3 holding penalties that we think we lost about 60 yards in rushing. And 60 yards in rushing might put you in the end zone. And since I think we had 4 or 5 offsides, I think we had 2 holding penalties. And a lot of it's being really, really aggressive, but you got to be smart at the same time.
Yeah, it makes sense when you think about it. 100 yards length of the football field, you're going to give them, 7 points somehow, some way. Hey, congrats on the win, Rocky. Hope it keeps rolling again. 12:30 kickoff, San Diego State on the road at Northern Illinois. 90-minute pregame show that you can listen to here on the Mighty 1090. Coach, thanks for the time as always.
I appreciate it, Darren. Thank you.